Donald Trump and Ron Paul. Here's an excerpt from Matthew Bates's answer to what is something that needs to be said that nobody wants to hear. Trump supporters have a point. They weren't misled by Russian trolls. They weren't ignorant. They weren't racist or sexist or xenophobic or homophobic. They were mad. They felt left behind and ignored by the media and the federal government. And they had a point. They were left behind and ignored. For many of them, the America their parents and grandparents grew up in was a lot better. And no, that's not because other groups were oppressed. It's because the economy was better for working class people back then. If your grandparents raised a large family on a single income, when the media and politicians cared about what your grandparents cared about, and now 50 years later, you and your wife can't get by on your dual incomes, and the media and politicians spend more time talking about transgender bathroom usage than the fact that families like yours are falling further behind each year, then yes, you have a point, and Make America Great Again makes sense. I find it so horrifying that any politician, let alone president, and all that associated power would be a referendum on gender. For the love of all that's good, do so many people not get the concept of priorities? I know people who are great CEOs and attorneys who are real jerks, and I wouldn't want them to marry into the family. But if I need someone really good, and they are, I very well might hire them for that job. This idea that national politics should be run like a sorority needs to end. Quora user Pauline Gaynor. We could have had Ron Paul, a nice doctor who was against the following: wars, aid to dictatorships, kleptocracy, especially with subsidies and regulatory capture, bailouts, Federal Reserve manipulating the economy, International Monetary Fund, which puts African countries into debt and keeping them poor, North American Free Trade Agreement, which prohibits Mexico from putting tariffs on taxpayer-subsidized American agricultural goods, war on drugs, which is responsible for approximately half of the incarcerations in America, broken families, and corrupting and ravaging Latin America, Patriot Act, which violates people's civil liberties, warrantless surveillance, National Defense Authorization Act of 2012, which allows the U.S. government to indefinitely detain or kill anyone, including U.S. citizens, deficit spending, SOPA, PIPA. But instead, we end up with an egotistic, narcissistic asshole of a multi-billionaire. Oh, and Obama? Let's see. Continued all of Bush's wars. Drone strike Pakistan 3 days after entering office, killing many innocent people and creating more terrorists. Helped overthrow Muammar Gaddafi, replacing a secular government that's rebuilding Africa with a failed state largely controlled by Islamist terrorists, and bringing back slavery, which is also a large reason behind Europe's migrant crisis. Aid to Islamist Syrian rebels, which destabilized a stable and secular Syria, creating millions of refugees, murdered around 500,000 people, and wounded many more, backed Saudi Arabia's war on Yemen, and wouldn't close Guantanamo Bay, and if anything, more people were imprisoned under his watch than before, spending trillions of dollars on bailouts, using taxpayers' dollars to bail out big corporations, and the stimulus package, which didn't stimulate much except for inflation. Please support the Substack blogs America vs. Europe and the World and Arguments Against Leftism. Here's my social media link tree, which I ask that you keep archive. You keep the link and archive my content. And please